Hello everyone, it's Evilicious here with a response that many of you are going to hate me for, and honestly, I do not care, but I'm going to make a rant about cartoons and anime. I'd like to begin this video by stating this. To the people who think anime and cartoons are two different things, then you're complete fools. Animes are just animations from Japan, and they're just animations. They're pretty much equal to cartoons. Animation equal cartoons. So any of you who think that they're different obviously don't know what a cartoon is. But unlike my video on PC versus console, I actually have a specific preference. I personally find American cartoons are superior to Japanese cartoons. You see, I have a problem with two things about Japanese cartoons and American cartoons. And they basically are into these two categories. One of them is the animation style, and the second part is the story writing. My problem with Japanese animation is most of the time the characters are incredibly stiff and show very little movement, making them look like cardboard cutouts. Just standing there, talking with no actual movements. It looks bland and lifeless, to be perfectly honest. You see, naturally when it comes to human movements, people never stand perfectly still. They're always moving. Either their shoulders shift a little, their hands twitch, they blink, and even a bit more head movement. The only times where animation seems to pick up is during action scenes, and at that point the animation just seems a bit more fluid. However, most of the time it's just bland and boring to look at. When I think of good fluent animation, I think of Disney animation back when they were doing traditional animation instead of just resorting on CGI. Even when the characters are just standing still and just talking to each other, they were doing very realistic movements. Their shoulders would move even when they were talking. Their heads would change at different angles. Like if you compare a Disney animation to an animation from a current gen anime as of right now, it definitely looks a lot better. It definitely looks a lot more realistic. But nowadays, the animation isn't really all that satisfying or look that great. In fact, I've seen old 1928 Disney cartoons that had more realistic animation. My next problem with the way that Japanese animators execute anime is how they execute the story. I find most Japanese animators tend not focus on story and more on the graphical content. Perfect example is High School of the Dead. I hear people saying it's one of the greatest animes out there. I look at it and I disagree strongly. I disagree entirely with that claim. It's meh at best. I'd watch it a couple of times, but only if I had something left to look at. High School of the Dead is just The Walking Dead, but with more focus on breasts, panties, bras, and other suggestive themes. The story is not there, and it begs to question why people find it enjoyable. And the answer to that is simple. It's because of the suggestive themes. It's because of all the soft porn that they're showing in the actual show. They look at it because it turns them on. They look at it because it's something they like to view. It's something that they like to always look at because let's be honest, if they tried to do this with a real girl, they'd probably get slapped across the face. I'm just saying it right there. And honestly, the only anime I see going on with consistency is Naruto. It focuses on the story, and the animation honestly does look more like the ones I was mentioning earlier that I saw from American animations like Disney. Not exactly, but it's pretty close. However, other anime such as Bleach, Death Note, High School of the Dead, and Higurashi just don't match up to that. In fact, the worst example I could bring up is Ikitosen. That story is basically if Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee decide to get sex change and dress up in skimpy outfits and try to do what Dead or Alive tried to do. See, there's no real story, and all it is just there for people to be turned on by it. Listen, I have nothing against suggestive things being shown, but if you're going to place it under a certain genre, you better be able to deliver that as you state that why this should belong in this genre. Higurashi is not that scary. It's bloody and brutal, yes, but gore does not automatically equal scary. I mean, if that were the case, then the B movies would be incredibly scary. There are certain moments where I can say Higurashi does get intense, but never to the point where I can say that scared me a lot. Shows like Bleach aren't that enjoyable either, especially in terms of story. I can at least say it gives action, but I can't get into action when the story or build up is practically non-existent. Death Note I also found not scary. It was intense, but never scary at all. In fact, the only animes I can say I enjoy because they deliver both things to me are One Piece, Naruto, Dragon Ball, and Kinnikuman. All the other ones are either meh or just plain bad. However, when you got American animators and their writing style, they normally give everything they claim to present in this genre that what they're going to be adding to this genre. If it's funny, it's funny. If it's an action flick, then it's filled with action. If it's a romance flick that shows romance, it's that simple. So those are my thoughts on cartoon versus anime. I prefer American animation, and I don't completely hate Japanese animation, although there are some problems with it. And all in all, people, they're not different. They're both cartoons just being made in a different country. I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender had the same art style, and most Japanese animations, yet no one with the Japanese animations they have that art style. Yet no one calls that an anime. So this is Euvolicious. Thank you for your time.